Hello, everybody. It's me, Sonia White, a certified conscious uncoupling coach. And women come to me when their marriages are in trouble and they are worried for themselves and their family. Now, you know me and you know my work as a conscious uncoupling coach, and I absolutely adore that. However, along my journey, when I went through my own divorce, I didn't use just conscious uncoupling. One of the things that for me changed my life was when I discovered EFT, and I used it in a number of ways, and I am so delighted that I have made a fantastic friend who is Liesel, and I'm just about to introduce you to her in a second. And she is an absolute it's beyond expert when it comes to her knowledge of emotional freedom technique, and also who she is as a human being. So welcome, Liesel.
Oh, wow, Sonia. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm delighted to spend this time with you.
I love to be with you. Why? Because the energy that you radiate is just an amazing thing. Now, your website is savvyselfgrowth.com, and on there you totally openly describe yourself as a highly sensitive person. I can relate to that. An introvert. I can relate to that. And as well, you are this EFT giant. Now, why I love the work I'm doing with you, and by the way, I am doing work with Liesel currently, is because she has that understanding of what it is to feel introverted and to be highly sensitive. And during a divorce, which can be for many people a really traumatic experience, and for the introverts, just it adds another layer to all of that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, any kind of healing that can be done to work with the trauma, to work with the longer term or maybe more deeper issues is fantastic. And so I just want to hand over to Liesel. Liesel, can you tell us all a little bit more about EFT, please?
Thank you, Sonia. So EFT is a very effective and a simple way to help ourselves get calm in the moment of big stress and ahead of time and after traumatic things, to help the limbic brain to relax. It's that limbic brain that gets activated that sends a fight or flight signals that make our brain fuzzy, that make us unable to think clearly and what to do next, and that just feels like terror and we can't move forward. And there's a whole lot of things that can come from all of that, the chemicals flooding the body. So EFT is just a really simple way to help us send calming signals to the limbic brain so that we can calm down and face situations that we need to face with more calmness, resilience, and confidence.
Absolutely. And I love you remind me of Dan Siegel's model of the hand, which is when you're not operating from the limbic brain, you're able to use your prefrontal cortex, where solutions, creativity, as you say, things like courage and resilience, they all reside there. And clients, those of you, who you've been working with me, you already know that I've got you doing EFT in situations and I have picked it up from my own. I've been given permission from Liesel that it is absolutely okay. But what I wanted to do was have an expert show you and talk to you about situations when using EFT would be a really, really fabulous tool to have in your backpack, ready for when you need it. So I'm thinking about situations like, you've got that meeting with the mediator and the lawyer, and it could be a challenging meeting. And as you and I know, when we're coaching, it's the part of you that's showing up. Which part of you is the one that's showing up? And we want that strongest, most powerful, most competent self to show up to that meeting. And EFT, I think, is a fantastic tool that you can use to make sure that that's the person that's walking into the room. What do you have to say about that, Liesel? Do you agree with me?
Oh, I so agree with you, Sonia.
Uh,
It's terrifying to go into those kind of situations, and especially for most introverts, it's not their favorite thing to go into a confrontation or somewhere where they even have the imagination that they could be going into
Yeah,
a confrontational
absolutely. And they just
situation.
actually avoid it, or they cave in and let no, it's okay. And then you end up signing off on a financial agreement that was never good for you.
Yeah.
And these are decisions and actions that are going to have far-reaching consequences. So
Right. It
yeah.
has a long-term impact, and the resentment and frustration that can come afterwards from I didn't do what was also good for me.
Because
That's
there's
also,
always that voice, isn't there? Even
yeah.
if you justify it with your logical mind and you oh, I'm spiritually, I'm turning the other cheek. But there's
Mm.
that voice going, you didn't stand up for yourself.
Yes, yes, and it's not great to live with that afterwards then. So it feels to me like the better prepared we can be ahead of time, the more calm we can go into that situation, the more we can think with the prefrontal cortex that makes better plans, more rational decisions. And then afterwards, the fallout is smaller. We may still overreact in that situation because it is a very triggering place, all unknown things, and we are simply human beings. And going through a breakup or a divorce is an incredibly stressful time, as you and your clients very well know. I have had 2 divorces as well. So it's one of the probably most stressful times in life. So we are going to be triggered. But if we can just be even a little bit less triggered and more resilient and calm going into those situations, the outcome can just be so much better, and we don't sit with all the regret as well as all the other things going on.
Absolutely. Now, I was just wondering, preparing, that is it is so what I do, and I use EFT. However, I was wondering if you would have something to share with all of us right now about a way, if you could show everybody, if you could demonstrate, and if you like, I can copy along with you a quick, I don't want to say 2-second or 30-second, I'm going to let you do the job, but something that I'm imagining that there's a pre-prep time, the weeks are coming, the appointments are scheduled, and it's not just situations like that. It's you bump into him and you weren't expecting it, you turn the corner and there he is, and or you've got to go through these kinds of scenarios where you're dealing things like taking over roles that you never had before. So for instance, maybe you've now got to learn about banking or managing your finances, managing things like cars. And I don't mean to do this and sound sexist, but there are in marriages, we tend to do some jobs and hand over to the other, and suddenly all of that can come in, and it can be overwhelming when I don't know how and so there's an overwhelm as well that can come with the situation. So I've got trauma and then overwhelm at handling it, and maybe even guilt, because if there are children involved in the relationship, how is this affecting them? So would you like to pick one and see where we can go with it?
Right. So since the legal thing and all of those confrontational things may be a good way
Mm,
for me to demonstrate how to prepare for a situation, we'll
yeah.
probably use that. And then I'll also, after that, I can share with people how we can do something in the moment, like you walk around the corner and there he is in the moment. And then perhaps also, so after you've had one of these traumatic experiences, what can you go and do tonight when you prepare for bed before you
Yes.
go to sleep? Something like that. Would that
That
work?
sounds, I'm excited.
Brilliant. So let's imagine that we know maybe, I don't know, would it be a lawyer's meeting or a what would be coming up, right? And we know this is maybe weeks in advance or a week in advance, and we start feeling, what would some of the typical feelings be, Sonia, that would come up?
Clients will talk to me about absolute fear, and it's in their gut,
Right.
and it's in their, and they feel it here, where it's just overwhelming. They will sometimes show up and they can hardly speak because this is coming. And then there's all, there is all of that. Then on top of that, they're thinking, I can't deal with this. He's going to win. I'm not able to stand up for myself. And then there comes into that the judgmental and that critical voice. Oh, you're so stupid. Why can't you take care of yourself? Even you're a grown person. Why aren't you able to do that? And it triggers in people as well that this reminds them of something that happened earlier on in their lives as well. So there's so much coming in. So how is that what you wanted me to share with you?
Yeah, that's absolutely great. So I really get a picture of how much they can come flooding in
Yeah.
before a meeting. It's not just the meeting that's coming up, it's all of this other stuff coming in as well. So what we try and do with EFT, Sonia, is to break it down as small as possible so we don't have all of that to deal with when we just, you know,
Too
it's
much.
kind of too much. Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of those at a time. So if a person is faced with all of that, what I recommend is get a journal, make a list of all of those separate thoughts. You know, there's the thoughts, there's the feelings, there's the self-judgment, there's the overwhelm. So just make a little list of all of those bits. And then we're going to tackle them one by one with EFT, with one round of EFT, so that we make this approachable. Otherwise, it's this mountain we have to face, and there's already a mountain. We don't want to add to the mountain. Okay. So what we'll do is, for now, for this demo, we'll maybe take the fear you were talking, it's almost like paralyzing fear that's in the gut, maybe in the heart or the solar plexus, and then in the throat. So we're going to use the words that you gave me because I know it will be very relevant for most people listening to this. So would it be okay if you copy me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready.
Okay. So what I also want to add is how it usually works is we state the problem, we name what we're feeling, we absolutely all we do is we talk the truth, right? So we name the problem feeling and we feel it in the body, and then we usually say, and I love and accept myself anyway. Now, if we're maybe our self-confidence has been broken down, or what's the other one, self-esteem during this process, we may not be able to say I love and accept myself. So we can just soften it a little bit and say I'm open to, or I'm willing to, or maybe one day I can. And we still include the acceptance in that softer way. So for now, I'm going to say I love and accept myself. And if there's somebody listening that can't, just say maybe one day I can. Okay, let's start here. So we start on the side of the hand and say, even though I've got this terror in my stomach,
Even though I've got this terror in my stomach,
I can love and accept myself anyway.
I can love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I've got this terror in my stomach
Even though I've got this terror in my stomach
about the meeting coming up,
about the meeting coming up,
I can love and accept myself anyway.
I can love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I've got this terror in my stomach and throat,
Even though I've got this terror in my throat and stomach,
I can love and accept myself anyway.
I can love and accept myself anyway.
Good. And then we just do a round through all the points. So starting on top of the head, and we just name the problem now, this terror in my stomach and throat.
This terror in my stomach and throat.
And then the eyebrow points, this terror in my stomach and throat.
This terror in my stomach and throat.
side of the eye, this terror in my stomach and throat.
This terror in my stomach and throat.
So all we keep doing is we just name the problem, this terror under the eye in my stomach and throat.
This terror in my stomach and throat.
And under the nose, this absolute terror about this meeting.
This absolute terror about this meeting.
And then in the hollow of the chin, this terror about this meeting coming up.
This terror about this meeting coming up.
And then the collarbone points, just where the collarbones meet the sternum, this terror about the meeting coming up.
This terror about the meeting coming up.
And the point on the side of the body where the bra strap out is more or less this terror in my body.
This terror in my body.
And then a point I like to use is inside of the wrist. You can tap both wrists together like this or one at a time. Feeling this terror about the meeting.
This terror about the meeting.
And now we can rest our arms and take a really nice deep breath in and out. Now what I would do, Sonia, usually before we do the round, we just check on a scale of 0 to 10 how big is this terror, and I didn't do that, but I imagine it would be pretty big, like I could even feel it just thinking about it. So maybe it was a 9.
I'd already done it because you and I, we've worked together. So I'd already scored myself by getting into that scenario. I was at a 9.
Yeah.
At a 9, and I could feel it physically in my body.
Right. And if now after the round, what we do is we measure, we rate again, just a guess is good enough. So where does it feel like it came to for you?
It dropped down to a 4. And on that scale that we're talking, 9 is the extremely powerful emotion that's taking us over, and 0 is the opposite of that. And so it's literally, as I go through this, I feel it in my, and this is why, guys, I want you to try EFT, because you can actually feel it shifting in your body. And it's not magic. There's actually science behind it. It's effective. It's really effective.
Right.
And so your idea would be to go through that a few times and then do that maybe once a day or something like that. How would you?
Yes. That's a great point, Sonia. So before, we've got this thing coming up, it's looming. So every day when we notice it, and it could be you do it as a part of a morning routine, like I'm just going to do this anyway. Whether I feel the fear or not, I guarantee you almost thinking about it will bring back the fear. So it's a really good way to prepare is just to keep doing it. Start 2 weeks in advance. Give yourself enough chance to prepare. And every day we chip away at that. And maybe tomorrow something else about the meeting shows up in your mind, like he's going to scream at me, or the lawyer is going to be really nasty.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look him. He's in the same room as me. That is something that people often speak. He's, it may be the first time they've been in the room with their soon-to-be former partner.
Yes.
And it's on its own is an overwhelming, is a challenging, could be a challenging thing, and it generates, because when you've been with someone for a very long time, you do connect energetically. And so when you get back into the same space with them, that magnetic, that energetic pull can be very, very powerful.
Exactly. I'm so glad you named that. I'm getting goosebumps as we talk about this, because there's still the pull. I've been together, I've been connected to this person for so long, and now we are enemies, or it can feel that way. And that is such a painful and confusing place. So every day as you prepare, just note down what is that I'm experiencing today, and you simply tell the truth. You name the feeling, check where in the body it's showing up, rate the intensity. You do a round like we've just done, rate it again. If it hasn't come down, repeat the round and say, even though I still have some of this terror in my body, and do the round again. And then, get it down, and tomorrow something else might show up. So it doesn't mean it hasn't worked. It means it's working brilliantly. And now the next piece is showing up ready for healing.
Yeah. And what did that take? 45 seconds? A minute?
Yeah, minutes.
Something like that. That's all that you need. It's not like, right, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to devote 90 minutes of your time to this practice. Absolutely not, right? Am I?
Yes, precisely. It can change us so fast. And what I think your listeners can look out for is, as we do the tapping, we may do a little sigh, like just a little sigh, and that's a sign of something is shifting. Or we do a yawn.
Yeah.
Or for people, often what happens is their stomach gurgles or they make a burp. So it's all signs like something is shifting. So even if you find it hard to tune into the numbers, signs like that tell you that the body is relaxing. We're going from sympathetic into parasympathetic, where we can start relaxing. The limbic brain is getting the message. It's okay. I can do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think that that's a fantastic way of, in advance. So let's imagine that we were like, we're there, we're in the courtroom, we're at the civil building, wherever it is, and maybe we can go off to the ladies. Is there something quick? Is it the same thing that we do, or?
Right, so if you have a couple of minutes, go to the ladies, sit in the little cubicle and just do a bit of tapping. You can think the words. You don't have to say the words out loud when you're in a more public situation. Right, because you tuned into that fear. I guarantee you'll sit there feeling it. So the words help us to stay present with it and to stay tuned into it. But when you tuned in, you don't need to say the words out loud. So that's in the ladies' cubicle before the time. Now you're sitting in the room with that person facing him and you're feeling this terror. So they might lock you up for being crazy if you start tapping right there. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to show you a secret. Right. You might even say, please, will you join me? Let's all calm down before we start talking. That would be the ideal world, right? Seeing that we're probably not in the ideal world right now, I'm going to show you some really good ways to just calm yourself or help yourself feel a little bit calmer. We usually sit in front of a table, or I don't know if it's like a chair, but maybe there's a table and you can hide your hands. So there are points on the fingers that we can use that are very effective, and you can simply keep pressing those points on the fingers. So I'm going to come close to the camera. Can you see this well enough? So I'll go with my second finger onto the thumbnail. It's in the inner corner of the bottom corner of the thumbnail. And then you can use your thumb to go to the second finger and the third finger and the fourth finger and then the small finger. So you can do this with one hand, just, under the table. Nobody's going to see it. Or you can use the other hand and squeeze both ends of the nail of the other hand. So you just go, as you just try and breathe deeply. On each point, you take a nice deep breath in and you squeeze the point of the finger. And as you do this breathing, try and breathe in a longer out breath. It also sends a calming signal to the limbic brain. So these finger points are extremely effective, like in the moment. And you can't let somebody see you tapping. These finger points are really effective. Another point is on the back of the hand, between the bones of the fifth and the fourth fingers. There's a little hollow between them. It's the point, it's called the triple warmer, that regulates fight or flight in the energy system. So if we just press there, you can press and hold, you can squeeze, you can tap if you want to. And again, you can do this under the table, or if you're, just sitting there, you can put your hand back on top of your hands or something like that. Just give yourself a bit of, nobody's going to wonder what on earth you're doing if you're squeezing a finger point or a nail.
Absolutely. I have my clients wear a jacket, and then they can put the jacket over their lap, and then they can put their hands, or I've got them using big tote bags, and no one's really watching. And the one where you're squeezing seems to be an easier one, because I guess your body's a bit more balanced rather than you're doing it with one hand, which looks, you know, suddenly this is moving. So for sure. And I can testify, Liesel, which is an ironic word for me to be using at this, I can definitely testify that it helps. It definitely.
Brilliant.
And I think there's something empowering about being able to do something constructive.
Yes. Yes.
You know, like at least I'm taking care of myself by doing this squeezy finger thing. And it's empowering no matter what else is going on around me. It's like I have them imagine, you know, you're going to be in this bubble and you're safe and you choosing what to let in, and you're just doing this. And this is your empowerment. It may not feel comfortable. It may not feel, you know, it's not as if you're going to walk in and there's no stress or anxiety or you don't want to throw up or all of those things. You know, that's highly likely, but you're still doing something. You're still taking care of yourself, which is possibly something that you've never learned to do in your relationships up until now. And this is self-care taken to the, you know, to the top level. Do you agree with me there?
Thought. Yes, absolutely. What a beautiful thought. Is we still have, I learned from just a wonderful friend here in the UK, you know, we have more agency than what we sometimes think. So this is a little piece of agency in this moment with all the stress going on. I can still just press my finger points. That's what I can do right now to take the best care of myself possible.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a huge comfort in that.
Yes, I have a tool. Sometimes it happens that we don't remember our tools in the moment of stress, and let that be okay. I want also people just to have compassion, for there's a lot going on in the brain. You know, if this thing is already switched off, we may not remember the tools we have, but next time you will. The more you do the prep, the calmer the brain will be, the more likely we'll be able to remember those tools in the moment.
And that brings me to, so you know, it's done, whether the outcome is not actually this is what I work on. I'm not working on the outcome that the judges, you know, these are the hours, this is the money. That is not your definition of success. Who you were being and how well you took care of yourself, that is your criterion for success. So you've come out a winner. And you say, oh yeah, but I didn't do that. It's fantastic, because you're going to show us a way that in the evening or the next week, we can then go back.
Yes, absolutely. I love that, Sonia, because we don't have control over things. Sometimes there's still some things being said that I didn't plan or they didn't plan, and here we are now. So I love your measure of success is how was I being. And so now we might come out and think, well, there's some regret. I could have done this. I should have done this. I blame myself anyway a little bit. So we can just then go in the evening, that evening, or maybe the next evening, or give it some time before we start this work, just to settle in the mind a little bit. But go through the event. Think of, you know, what pieces of it do I feel regret about? What pieces do I feel like I'm blaming myself, or I should have done it differently? The perfection, you know, like I should have been a model of a human being and I wasn't. Think about those things, tune into the feeling, and then we can do a round of EFT on that. So as we go through these difficult things, that we bring down the emotion about them as we go through them, so that at the end of this process, you know, however long it takes, months, weeks, or years, we're not sitting with a big pile of baggage that we take into our next relationship. Because all of these hurtful things that happen along the way add to the pile that we take into our life forward.
Yes,
And
that's our gift
those,
to our next relationship. Yeah, you take the
right, yeah, all of this, here's a package that you now going to have to help me deal with.
no.
And I'll
It's
blame
definitely
you
not
for the last
cognitive
one.
coupling. You know, it's nothing that ways of yeah, totally. No, we don't want to do that. And I think that there's something, and I would love for you to spend a little time explain, talking about it, because you just said it, triple warmer. That these are ancient systems of medicine using meridians. These are points on the body. These are not random points on the body. Science now backs up EFT, right? And that it has a profound effect upon the parasympathetic nervous system that you were talking about. So it's simple, it's effective. Now, can you overdo it? Can you do it wrong?
That's such a great question, both of them. Your body usually will tell you if it's like, I've done enough now, you just don't feel like it anymore. So don't try and force yourself to like do it for, an hour a day or something. So your body will say like, it's enough for now. You can't, as a rule of thumb, overdo it or do too much of it, or it's like from inside your body will just say, okay, enough now, I've done enough for today or for this week. So that's one. And your other one was, can you do it wrong? No, you can't do it wrong either. It's a very forgiving process. The only caution I would have is if you feel really triggered, do it with somebody else. Just have another safe person with you so that you don't feel alone, because that's the worst of trauma, is just the isolation, the loneliness. So if you're overwhelmed with feelings that are too big for you, or you feel like, I'm going to be overwhelmed if I step into this, just get a safe person to be with you while you do a bit of EFT, or, set up a meeting time with somebody like that, so that you're just not by yourself. And you can't do it wrong. All you're doing is you're stating the truth, and you're saying, and I'm an okay human being anyway. So what can you do wrong? The points go in order. Just, it doesn't matter if you mix and match the points, but they're easy to remember going downwards. So there's virtually nothing that you can do wrong that's going to cause anything bad. There is just nothing like that. We calming the nervous system. That's it.
Mm, mm. And it's such a powerful and effective tool to have. I'm using it all of the time. I've definitely used it myself, and I show my clients how to use it, and it is an absolute joy to have someone like you talking about it. And I completely concur with you. If this is huge trauma, huge overwhelm, that it's going to knock you out, it's definite, then for sure you can work with this. And it takes something. It's a quick way of doing it. So I mentioned earlier that you are at savvyselfgrowth.com, and as I look here, I can see that you've got apart from your contact me page, some is somewhere on your site where people could go just to get an image of where the points are, or is there anything that you would suggest that go to my site and go especially look at this?
Oh, wow. Thank you for mentioning that, because I don't think I've actually got a page where the points are, but there is a blog that I wrote that's called "What is EFT and Why You Should Know About It."
Right.
And you can just, there's a little search bar on the right of my site somewhere. What is EFT and why you should know about it? And on that page, there's a few pointers about EFT, and there's a little video with all the points that I demonstrate.
Maybe I could get a link, and then when we share all of this, I can share that link so people can go directly to it. But quite honestly, as always, the way you have described it and delivered it, it's quite simple to do. Is there anything else about EFT that you wanted to share with me, with us, Liesel?
I think it's like anything in life, Sonia, is that we can know about the things and they will only work if we use them. So that's maybe the one tip, is just try it, do a little bit. If you have difficulty, there's a lot of information that you can probably find on the internet about it. There's so many millions of people worldwide using it, so you'll be in good company. And just try it. It's one of the most soothing, calming things that I know of in my entire life. And for 14 years, every year I fall in love with it more than the year before. And then just remember kindness and compassion for yourself. Those are the two things I always want to bring into the process. Even if you don't remember to use EFT, just remember that.
I think I do want you guys to realize this lady has got a huge track record in this field, and also understanding what it is to be around introverts, because you are one, aren't you? We're both in that secret club together, and being highly sensitive. So much of the pain that I see happening in when a relationship breaks up, and it's with a highly sensitive person, someone who feels deeply. It's not a flaw. I do want to make that really clear, and I say it quite often. It's a gift in you to be that sensitive. It can have been misunderstood. Why are you crying over that? Why are you reacting that way? It's only a dead bird, or all of these kinds of situations. It is your gift, your capacity to love, your capacity to understand other people's emotions. If you're a highly sensitive person, your capacity, your desire, your need to belong can be such that it's actually almost like a physical pain in a highly sensitive person. These are not faults. These are not flaws. These are your gifts, because we need the world, especially with what is going on in the world right now. We need the world to be full of more conscious people. So I love that you, Liesel, talk very deeply about what it is to be highly sensitive, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a weakness. I don't know if you've got anything you want to share about that side of your work as well.
Yeah, it took me a little journey to really fully own it, and it really brought home for me how powerful the gifts of it are. When I started with the journey with knowing my strengths, instead of what's looking at what's wrong with me, is
And
what's
what
right
people are
with
telling
me.
you is wrong with you. Yeah.
Exactly. Messages that we get from early on through our childhood, throughout our adulthood, is all of these wrong messages about being so sensitive. And it's something that I almost can enjoy and love most about myself now. And I would love for other sensitives to be able to feel the same, because it is those gifts that can help bring healing and peace to the world. It's not more force, it's not more violence, it's not more pretending that we are not who we are. It's not trying to be like somebody else who will bring healing to the world. It's owning your sensitive gifts that I believe will make a difference in the world.
Heartfelt alliance with that. I absolutely love it. Each drop in the ocean is a drop in the ocean. And when we do our healing work, I think that's one thing that this situation with Mr. Floyd has I've had some sleepless nights about it. And it's brought it home how we are connected. What happens to him happens to us. So if we can heal, it's the same thing. We are that important. We are that powerful. So owning your sensitivity and owning the upside of being an introvert, even, because again, that's something else you talk about. Please, if you're resonating with this then go and have a look at what Liesel has to say, because there's a lot of deep wisdom there. So I have been delighted as always to talk with you, Liesel, and you know that you and I could spend all day talking and talking and talking, but I am very, very grateful to you for giving us such a clear description of how to use EFT in those circumstances. It's been a joy. All right, everybody, until next time, take care and bye-bye.
Bye for now.